Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and this is the time of the year that me and my brothers are traveling with our 40k armies to play each other in different cities. And so one of the questions is, how do you travel? How do you carry these things? Because you can build up quite large armies. You want to bring more than just your minimum list so that if you guys change it up, or you end up playing a different game mode, or you end up playing partners or anything like that, that you're ready to adjust. It's cool to have like proxies and stuff like that, but you may not even have enough of the right base size. And so the simple answer is carefully, the same way you would pack anything. Wrap them in newspaper, bubble wrap, set them in foam, put them in an old blanket inside of Tupperware, or toolboxes from like Home Depot, Lowe's work fantastic. I use some DeWalt toolboxes. They stack real nice. There are, my brother uses big plastic bins that stack real nice and they fit into his car well, and he bought foam inserts that are meant for 40k guys offline. There's plenty of companies out there that do it. He bought pluck foam, so it has a bunch of squares and you pluck them out into the shape you need, and then there's like a bottom that mounts to it, and so you end up kind of shaping it yourself. I actually have an infantry case that's already packed up that has like 245 different infantry slots, and it's got on the tops and bottoms, it's got like slightly longer ones. In the middle, they're all the same, and they're tapered like this. So this one's this shape, the one next to it is this shape, so that guys that are kind of top heavy have room, and that works well. There's a ton of companies out there, depending on how much you want to spend and how much army we're talking about. Companies like Battle Foam set the standard on what is amazing. There's so many systems out there that all their foam is meant to stack together, so you have like 2 vehicle trays and 5 infantry trays, as opposed to I have 2 infantry trays, 3 fast attack trays, and 1 vehicle tray. So there's so many, and they all go into the same bag, and they have different size bags that are meant to hold different number of inches of trays, and so you just decide how many total inches of trays you need, and then you get the case to match, and there are backpacks and all that. But it really can be simple. This hobby doesn't have to start out as expensive. So unless you just have an amount of money that you want to spend that's available to you, you can start cheap and you can expand from there. You don't know the final size of your army if you're just getting started. You don't even know that you won't end up wanting to play a slightly different army, or that you won't end up shifting to a different battle system altogether when you're truly early on and you're honestly on the fence of even buying models. And as soon as you've made that commitment, my local store, through kind of some people I met there, Todd and I have an opportunity to buy bikers for our armies a lot cheaper than we typically would be able to. And so we found a great deal on some bikes, and I wanted some orc bikes that are still in the box to convert into chaos bikes, and he wants orc bikes as orc bikes. But we wanted those like way off in the future. And the deal is kind of here now. And so we're going to go ahead and buy some this weekend. And that means that now I got to transport those because I'm going to build them. And that also means that my lists are going to be affected because I'm going to want to use them. And so it would be hard to commit to a permanent, non-expandable case system, not knowing exactly how big my collection is going to end up being and which direction it's going to end up going. If you'd asked me, I would have thought that I would have been building my Poxwalkers by now. I'm still missing some bases that are coming in from eBay, and that I would be moving more towards getting Plague Marines and like a foot slogging army, and that's a very different case solution than building bikes. So that's really it. It's how do you transport these, and the answer is carefully. It is simple. There are a lot of brilliant solutions out there. So if you are just looking for ideas, magnetization is a big part of this hobby. And there's people who put magnets on the bottom of all their guys, and they have metal sheets, and they sit on there. And that works great as long as you're just setting it in your back seat and kind of strapping it in and driving somewhere. And they come out in little trays and all of that. And you have to think about how your army plays. So one of the things that really hurts people's ability to play at like a tournament speed is the amount of setup and amount of breakdown. So how long does it take you to get your guys out of the case? How long does it take to put them back in the case? And your case solution has a lot to do with that. And then how long are you spending on these guys? I see people who just toss them into a shoebox loose and they're all scratching each other and like, oh, that guy's arm fell off. That's up to you, how much time you're putting into these models and how much money you're putting into these models. So that determines, I guess, the level of respect that you're going to pay to these models. If you're buying them all used, dirt cheap, you're not painting them, you're just spraying, and you're buying them where somebody else did a sloppy paint job and all your guys don't match, then maybe you don't care. And if you're getting them professionally painted and professionally converted, then maybe they're like the most important possession you own. That's up to you where you fall on that spectrum. So when I think of what a case solution should be, I think there is no one size fits all. One of the things that's important to me is that it's easy to get in and out of my Jeep. It is easy to sit behind the seat, that I have one or more of the same case that stack so I can choose. And then I'm going to be making my own foam inserts because I picked toolboxes so that they're nice and rugged. They can bounce around back there. And the foam inserts I'm making, each one, say this is my toolbox, each one takes up half. And so there's a left half and a right half. And the reason I'm doing that is, let's look at the bikers, for example. There are 9 bikers in a squad, max. So say I build 9 bikers. The way I would build those trays is 4 bikers and 5 bikers. And on the 4 biker, that would probably have the champion and the one with kind of the icon for it, because they're going to sit a little bigger. And so when I go to pack, I have to bring the one with the champion. So that's the 4 bikers. And as long as I'm bringing a squad of 3 or 4, because the minimum squad size is 3, that one will go in there and this one won't. And then the other side of that is, say I'm bringing 2 squads of 6. Well, I can bring 2 of the champion squads and 1 of the other foam inserts, and I'll be able to fit a total of 4 plus 4 plus 5, right? So I'll have 13, and I needed 12. The other thing I'm doing is, say I build 3 squads of bikers, right? Because that's a pretty typical thing. I'll make sure that when I'm designing their foam inserts, that I have like 2 left and 1 right for those champion inserts or not, so that, you know, if I just want to bring like 3 squads of 6 or 3 squads of 5, right? 3 squads of 5 is a good example. I could do my 1 left, 2 right with the champions, and then 1 of the others, and I've now done 1, 2, 1, 2. So I've made it level inside the toolbox, so then I can start the next unit. I also design my inserts to keep like things with like things, because that's how I think. And so I design one of those halves will hold all of my sorcerers, because I own a handful of sorcerers. And one of those halves will own all of my Chaos Lords, because I'm either bringing Chaos Lords or sorcerers. If I'm bringing both, then I have to bring both trays, and that's why I own multiple toolboxes. But most of my lists will fit into a single toolbox for now. As I start to build things like Rhinos and Land Raiders and move towards those lists, that is a totally different transportation issue. So that's something you have to think through. That was all just a big elaborate example to show you have to think about the army you're building and what it means long term. These toolboxes are really narrow, and so when it comes time to build my Helldrakes, which shockingly I'm a Chaos player that doesn't own Helldrakes, I have to make sure that I magnetize the wings, because otherwise they're going to be too wide for the toolboxes I own. And so the design of the model will have to reflect the case, because I bought the case before the model. So definitely give it, just think it through. There are plenty of cheap options out there. You can go look at how people are bringing them to your local store. Lots of Tupperware options, lots of plastic bins from like a hobby store options. There are lots of dedicated companies that do this for a living, and they fit perfect. Things like Battle Foam even have like specific cut inserts for the base guys, unless you convert things like I do, where then you would have to send them the shape because I made it up. And then there's things like toolboxes and shoe boxes and file boxes. And, the world is not new to the idea of moving things. It's just that you have to pair something from out in the world that's meant to move whatever into moving Warhammer, unless it was specifically designed for that. Foam is dirt cheap. You can buy fabric foam, you can buy dedicated type foams, there's pluck foam, things like that. In the big scheme of things, foam is much cheaper than breaking a model. So I would definitely give that a look and see if you couldn't come up with a system where you can lay out the foam to hopefully in as little space as possible transport your army, make it to where you can get it on and off the table easily and reasonably, but that in between wherever you're playing and wherever you're storing it, that it's not getting broken. You don't need nearly as robust of a storage system if you're always playing in your house, because it just needs to make it from where it's being stored in the closet to there without being damaged. But if you're taking things cross-country, you may want to look at some of the more luggage-type options. You could even take an old suitcase, right? Like a hard-shelled suitcase, and design foam inserts to fit into that, and just have foam on the outside. And just like you'd transport a guitar or anything like that across the country, you could absolutely ship your army that way. I think I'd be nervous to make it anything but a carry-on, because I'd want to have it with me, because when I look at the hours you can spend putting an army together, I would want it to be a carry-on, but I guess that limits myself from bringing too much of a horde list. So anyway, let me know kind of what your storage options, what you guys prefer down below, what you've thought of, what you've come across. There's a lot of brilliant ideas out there. And this has been Chris with Work to Game, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Brian, do you think there's anywhere they could catch us in the meantime?
Right now, Chris, we're probably on Twitch. If it's probably in the afternoon, it could be you. Sometimes you see my face. And we also found this random guy, named Kevin on the street somewhere.
I accidentally left my password written on the side of my car.
Oh man, that was really a big mistake. But guys, we really appreciate it if you guys hit the link in the description below for our Twitch page. We'd love to see you over there. And you can even subscribe to us over on Twitch.
If you're Amazon Prime, that could even be free.
Oh my gosh, what a deal.
Well, cool. Well, thanks guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.